Welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. Afghan soil should not be used for militant activities, says India. International Stamp Exhibition Fila Nippon 2021 attract visitors in Japan. And Hindu devotees celebrate Lord Krishna's birthday with fervour across India. Let's begin the show. A 2-decade protracted Afghanistan war is officially over, with all mandated US troops gone. And while the US President Joe Biden has defended his decision as best available option in the interest of his country, a humanitarian crisis is appearing imminent in Kabul. With currency plunging, markets shut and services halted due to a constant atmosphere of fear, an upside-down turn of events has put everybody in a spot of bother.
Last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. While talking about the conclusion of a chaotic evacuation from Afghanistan that also became a cause of killings of several locals and Americans, the US President Joe Biden said that Washington couldn't have done anything different or better. He has in fact referred to it as a success, citing evacuation of more than 123,000 people from Kabul since 14th August when the Taliban swept over the country. And while Biden has assured that remaining 100 to 200 US troops will be safely brought back without any deadlines, he has maintained a conspicuous silence over securing the lives of those who worked for the US against the Taliban and now fear deadly reprisal attacks.
By the time I came to office, the Taliban was in its strongest military position since 2001, controlling or contesting nearly half of the country. The previous administration's agreement said that if we stuck to the May 1st deadline that they had signed on to leave by, the Taliban wouldn't attack any American forces. But if we stayed, all bets were off.
Entire world, barring a few, is apprehensive about recognizing the Taliban as a legitimate entity. While the European Union has said that it is in no hurry to recognize the Taliban, the United Nations, under the Indian chair last week, urged the Taliban to stick to its commitments and allow safe passage to anybody who looked for it. Currently, the Taliban control more territory than when they last ruled from 1996 to 2001 before US-led forces ousted them in 2001. The Taliban are now also equipped with more sophisticated weaponry, including armored vehicles and attack helicopters. Although the Taliban has been projecting itself as a moderate version of its previous regime, the people and observers are not buying the argument. There are also reports that reprisal attacks and attacks on minority Hazaras have already begun, compelling thousands to flee the country. The Taliban say they are ready to run the government. However, it appears highly unlikely that people with no real education and experience can tread through the challenge. Afghanistan's economic situation too is in dire straits, with its currency plunging by almost 20 units against US dollar in the past 3 weeks. Most of Afghans live under $2 per day, and they blame the change in regime for their worsening lives.
کاروبار دیگه وضعیت پیش از طالبا بیایه بهش یک ذره خوب بود، کاروبار بود. مثلا ما از دولت هم شکایت داشتیم، ولی حالا فعلا خرید داریم، فروش نداریم. خرید به اندازهش داریم، حتی فروش هیچ نداریم. دمی چند وقت هم که کمک روزگارا خوبتر شده رفت، وقتی که امتیاری که در میدان هوایی شد، خب بیخی کاروبار سقوط داد.
به این خاطر و مردم از وضعیت فعلی ناهنجور است، به لحاظ وضعیت مالی بازار هم خوب نیست.
Many offices and shops are still shut and salaries have been unpaid for weeks, meaning even the relatively well-off are struggling to put food on the table. Experts say a humanitarian crisis looms over Afghanistan, which cannot be prevented with little generosity by its potential allies. And when the world is glued to the rapidly evolving Afghanistan situation, the question that continues to haunt Washington is what has it achieved after losing 2,500 of its troops, along with 240,000 Afghans at an additional expenditure of some $2 trillion. The other question that remains unanswered is how CIA, the world's premier intelligence agency, failed in calculating the rapid advances of the Taliban, which according to it were not going to affect Kabul in the next 6 months. It was all planned, some say. Commoners don't have any choice but to believe it until the US comes out with an alternate explanation.
Moving on, New Delhi has been closely monitoring the rapidly evolving Afghanistan situation as these armed militia backed by Pakistan could become a potential threat for India. While it has also engaged with the group at diplomatic level, the actions of the Taliban will reveal its real intent. The only demand that New Delhi is that Afghanistan's land should not be used to hatch terrorist plots against India, and no Indian left in Afghanistan should be targeted by the Taliban.
A watchful New Delhi has laid the conditions for any future engagements with the Taliban. It says it will not tolerate any anti-India activity from Afghan soil. Whether it was the India-led UN statement on Afghanistan or the maiden meet held between the Indian ambassador to Qatar and the Taliban representatives. It has also demanded that Afghan soil must not be used by any radical Islamist group to conspire against Delhi.
The Afghan soil should not be used for terrorist activities of any kind, of anti-Indian activities, and we will try to focus on that element.
Earlier, under India's presidency, the UN Security Council passed Resolution 2593 demanding that the territory of Afghanistan not be used to threaten any country or shelter terrorists. UNSC Resolution 2593 addresses India's key concerns pertaining to Afghanistan at this time. The resolution demands that Afghan territory not be used to threaten or attack any country, shelter or train any terrorists, and plan or finance terrorist acts. It specifically mentions individuals and entities designated pursuant to UNSC Resolution 1267, that is, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed. And in view of the evolving situation, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has constituted a high-level group comprising External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and senior officials. India says it is also committed to bring back each Indian individual or those belonging to persecuted minorities.
Currently, of course, the Kabul airport is not operational, so I don't have any an update on when we will be able to do more flights. I think we will be able to revisit this issue once we have Kabul airport operational. Once the airport operations resume there, so I think we'll have to wait for that. Meanwhile, of course, our special Afghanistan cell continues to operate as in touch with whoever is in Kabul and in Afghanistan.
Al-Qaeda, one of the most dreaded groups that killed 3,000 US people in the 9/11 attacks, had its bases in Afghanistan during the previous Taliban regime. And now, on the Taliban's return, it has not only hailed its victory, but has vowed to target Kashmir next. And it could become a three-pronged war for India, which has already been battling a two-front diabolic attack of Pakistan and China. Not that India is any less equipped, but Afghanistan and India have had a great relationship over past 2 decades, and any such incident can reverse the progress made between the two sides.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
At least 8 people were wounded this week in Houthi drone strikes on Saudi Arabia's Abha airport that also damaged a civilian airplane, Saudi State TV reported. The Saudi-led coalition fighting the Houthi group in Yemen said earlier that it intercepted a Houthi drone that was targeting Abha International Airport. Shrapnel was scattered in the vicinity of the airport, the coalition said. Ikhbariya TV said a second armed drone was intercepted, but debris wounded 8 people and damaged a civilian airplane inside the airport. The Houthis did not claim responsibility for the attack, but the Iran-aligned group regularly fires drones and missiles into Saudi Arabia.
Indian and Nepalese football teams are set to face each other for a friendly match scheduled for Thursday and Sunday in Kathmandu, the head coaches of both nations announced. The Indian men's senior national team arrived in Nepal on August 30 to play back-to-back international friendlies against Nepal on September 2 and 5. The 25-member Indian contingent flew out from New Delhi, where they had assembled overnight after the completion of the preparatory camp in Kolkata, which had kicked off on August 15. The last time the Indian senior team visited Nepal was in 2015, wherein their away match in the playoffs for the 2018 World Cup qualifiers ended goalless, thus enabling them to qualify for the qualifiers by virtue of their 2-0 victory in the first leg. The Blue Tigers had their first practice session in Kathmandu on Tuesday. The Nepali team, which had been in practice for months, also has announced that they have prepared well for the match scheduled for Thursday and Sunday and would help in preparing for the upcoming SAFF games.
South Korea's parliament past week approved a bill that bans major app store operators such as Google and Apple from forcing software developers to use their payment systems, effectively stopping them from charging commissions on in-app purchases. It is the first such curve by a major economy on the likes of Apple Inc. and Alphabet Inc.'s Google, which face global criticism for requiring the use of proprietary payment systems that charge commissions of up to 30%. The final vote was 180 in favor out of 188 attending to pass the amendment to the Telecommunications Business Act, dubbed as the Anti-Google Law.
Moving on to Japan, where an international stamp exhibition called Nippon 2021 is attracting visitors to Tokyo. It is also marking the anniversary of the founding of Postal Service. Also, Japan is preserving its legacy of traditional rice farming in Chiba Prefecture. Have a look.
Pacifico Yokohama is one of Japan's largest convention centers, which recently hosted Japan's World Stamp Exhibition. It is the anniversary of the founding of Postal Service in Japan. It is held every 10 years since 1971. This year marks the 6th time Japan hosts this event titled the Nippon 2021. And to reflect the fact that 2021 marks the 150th anniversary of Postal Service in Japan, the exhibition introduced many items to broadly communicate to visitors. It showcased the history and culture that has been created by Postal Service during its long journey, as well as the future potential of the industry going forward by using newly developed delivery robots and drones.
さまざまなポストのいろんな昔からのポストや配達員の制服、あと最初の頃から今までの切手をいろんなものを発行してきておりますので、そういったものを展示させていただいています。世界からいろんな切手、珍しい切手もいろいろ展示をさせていただいております。例えば今日本はオリンピックやパラリンピックのタイミングですが、過去にいろんな国でオリンピック・パラリンピックにちなんだ切手も出されておりますので、そういう展示もさせていただいております。今の特に若い人にも受けるようないろんな形や例えばキャラクターを使ったものとか、いろんな切手をこれからも出していきたいと思っています。
In 1890, the first World Stamp Exhibition was held in London, marking the 50th year since the issuance of the world's first stamp, known as the penny black. Today, the Philanipon 2021, with the theme celebrating 150 years of service, delivering new value tomorrow, is dedicated to popularizing the postal service. The purpose of the exhibition was to spread and develop stamp collecting, philately in Japan and throughout the world, and to strive toward cultural exchange and international goodwill between countries and regions across the globe through postage stamps.
国際切手店の切手を買って、で今日の特印を押してもらうために来ました。ネットとかで手紙っていうかメールを出すだけじゃなくて、私は切手と手紙を利用したりしてます。
The event provides good chance to enjoy the hobby of collecting stamps. Children were also happy to visit the event, as many stamps had popular animation characters. Philanipon 2021 introduces postal service that will move beyond history and into tomorrow. Rice remains staple food in Japan for over 2,000 years. The country produces nearly 8 million tons of rice every year, with a consumption of 55 kg per person. Oyama Senmada in Chiba Prefecture is a spectacular rice field terrace that could be easily accessed from Tokyo. And one of the greatest benefits for being rice-loving country is that Japan has also beautiful rice field terrace called Tanada in several locations in countryside from north to south. Oyama Senmada was recognized in 2002 as a cultural landscape created mutually by people and nature when it was designated by Chiba Prefecture as a prefectural landmark.
山を削ってこういう小さい田んぼが段々になっているのを千枚田と言ったり棚田と言ったりしますね。はい、普通川とかね池から水含むんですけども、それがなくても本当に雨だけでお米作っているので、雨で溜まった水を逃がさないように溜める工夫をしてます。
The cultivation of the hillside of mountainous region was a common sight throughout Japan until the late 1970s. However, due to the increase in the use of machinery and an aging population of farmers, this beautiful landscape was rapidly disappeared. But in Kamogawa city, terraced rice paddy of Oyama Senmada continues to be carefully maintained and cultivated to this day, and it has become famous tourist attraction.
今日は30人ほどできました。でここに来た目的としては、千葉県でも有名な場所であるということと、このコロナ禍で屋外で見れるいい箇所だと思って見に来ました。でまた今のこの季節は田植えをしたばかりということもあっていいかなと思ってきました。
Currently, Oyama Senmada field is maintained by owner system, which works to contribute toward local revitalization by helping to preserve beautiful landscapes and provide a place for urban residents to try farming. Owner system is land adopting system, so anyone can adopt a small plot of land and experience rice planting firsthand. This program is designed for anyone, such as metropolitan area resident who is looking for a break from the busy life in big city. The local farmer provides constant supervision about rice harvest. At the end of the season, 40 kilograms of rice is given to the field's owner. The rice field terrace of the Oyama Senmada is a great example of the beautiful image of Japanese farming village.
Moving on to our cultural section of the show, where Hindu devotees across India celebrated the birth anniversary of Lord Krishna or Janmashtami with religious fervour and enthusiasm. Devotees paid obeisance to their beloved Lord Krishna by performing various rituals in the temples and their homes. Take a look. Janmashtami is one of the most popular festivals of India. Recently, devout Hindus from across India marked the auspicious occasion of Krishna Janmashtami with religious fervour and immense enthusiasm. It is celebrated every year to mark the birth anniversary of Lord Krishna, which falls in late August or early September according to the Gregorian calendar. Lord Krishna is worshipped as the eighth incarnation of Hindu god Vishnu. and he was the son of Vasudev and Devaki. According to Hindu texts, Lord Krishna was born in human form to kill Kans, his maternal uncle and the demon king of Mathura city.
बहुत खुश हूँ कि आज कृष्ण जी का जन्म हुआ है. इसे मैं अपने मन से और अच्छी सोच से मना रही हूँ.
On this day, devotees visit temples, feast on delicacies, cosplay as gods and take out vibrant religious processions. They throng various decorated temples of Lord Krishna and offer prayers, dance, chant Jai Shri Krishna and sing devotional hymns. Believers observe fast on this day and abstain from consuming grains until the next day and perform various rituals in their homes. This year, devotees were happy because the temples were open for the general public, unlike last year due to coronavirus.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. हम लोग तो काफी टाइम से वेट कर रहे थे भाई कब ये कोरोना वगैरह हटे हम लोग कब दर्शन के लिए जाएंगे.
The festivities climax at midnight as it is believed that Lord Krishna was born at that hour. The idol of Krishna is cleaned with milk, curd and ghee and decorated with new clothes and ornaments. Then the idol is placed on a cradle to symbolize the birth of the Lord. Krishna is revered across northern India for his miraculous and cute acts as a child. His recitation of 700 verse Bhagavad Gita to his friend Arjun on a battlefield is considered as one of the most important Hindu religious texts. It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.